Well, hello everybody, and welcome back. It's okay. Well, let me just start and preface all of this by saying, I recorded a bunch of videos. I think it was 4 before spring break on my GoPro. Um, and then I made the silly mistake of, well, not the silly mistake of bringing my GoPro, but using the same SD card for my GoPro um, as the videos that I use here and the videos that I was taking in Florida. And in that process, I accidentally got my SD card wet, and everything that I read online said that I should be able to just dry it and let it, all the moisture get out of it, let it dry out, and that I would be able to open it up and everything. But sadly, I was able to plug it into my computer and let it dry out and everything, and then plug it into my computer and open up the SD card. But all of the files on it were corrupted. So that was very frustrating for me, in the sense of I lost 45, 50 minutes of reflections that I had done over the process of 4 or 5 weeks for these vlogs. But then I also lost, hours of footage from the videos that I took in Florida, when when my family went to Fort Myers for just enjoy the beach and watch some spring training baseball. So that was wildly frustrating for me, and I am trying everything I can to get those videos back. So if someday these videos are replaced with my original fresh reflections that I had on my GoPro, they will be put on the YouTube. But for now, I take good enough notes for myself throughout the week of what I'm doing that I'm just going to go based off of what I write down for myself in my notebook, and then go with what I remember as feeling, emotion-wise, and stuff like that. So bear with me as I do that, and we'll get through this. I'll still reflect upon what I'm reflecting upon in my experience, and I think it'll be okay. So I currently am not using my GoPro right now. I'm using my computer screen just simply because it's sitting here in front of me. And when I set the GoPro up to use it, you got a lot more of this busy background than I really wanted. So, and I am in my crawl space right now. That has become my makeshift office for the time being because, as you all know, we are in, as everyone's saying, unprecedented times with this whole coronavirus crap. And so I'm just trying to get through it and get through it with you guys. So let's start. So I'm going to start with the week of April 17th to February 17th to the 21st. That's what this video is. So that is what we're going to work through today, if that makes sense. Did it just get really dark all of a sudden? I feel like it did. Yeah, there you go. That's better. So we'll figure it out. I'm doing a screen recording of my Zoom meeting right now. I have it set so that way I have to allow people to come in. So hopefully nobody pops in because this is my personal meeting ID, but I'm sure they would tell me if they were coming or not. So, alrighty. Well, let's start with February 17th to 21st. These 4 weeks in February for me were really, really busy and quite overwhelming. And that, I think that's because there was a mix between my LCC position was ramping up. I was doing more things. We were getting ready for the MAD celebration. My classes were getting kicked up, and in particular, my math class, my stats class is kicking me in the butt. So I've been spending a lot of time on that, trying to catch up on that. And then, it's just schoolwork, work, LCC stuff. It's a lot. So I definitely think that I bit off more than I could chew this semester. And I'm realizing that now that I've been home and I've been able to focus on just connections with my students and schoolwork. So anyway, February 17th to the 21st. What happened this week was we had the LC Big event for February. And again, the LC Big event is just one event that the Learning Community Program organizes and puts on for every learning community and learning community student in the program. So this month they did a scholarship event, informational night, because the February 1st, the scholarship finder opens with all the scholarships for university scholarships, and they close at the end of the month. So they did an event on that. What they did was they created a PowerPoint, and they had the graduate assistants go up and present their information upon scholarships and whatnot. And they played a Kahoot. The Kahoot was fine. The whole night was kind of frustrating. I thought it was really poorly organized and just kind of slapped together. It was kind of what I feel like even some of these videos are. I'm kind of sitting behind the 8 ball here and trying to record a month's worth of videos in the next week or two. So it's a little, it feels like that the work is just kind of being slapped together. And I don't know, they literally, with the presentation, they threw up information about scholarships, where do you find them? What are scholarships? How do you get them? Tips and tricks. And it was all stuff. I mean, they didn't even go onto the scholarship finder website. They literally just put the link up and said, this is where you can find them. And for me, that was wildly frustrating, because it was one of those things where they scheduled it for an hour and the event only went for like 20-25 minutes, if that. And it was literally all stuff. If you would have sat down at your computer for 5 minutes and looked up tips and tricks for a scholarship, you would have found, you would not even had to have clicked a link to open up, these are 10 tips and tricks for filling out your scholarship. You literally wouldn't have even had to click on a link. It would have literally just popped up you literally could have read the brief description of the website that you would click on. It was like, I was so frustrated. I felt like it was a waste of event and a waste of a time. Had I've known that's what they would have done, I would have, I mean, I've had to go to the event because it's a part of my job, but like, I just wish I could have done that scholarship event and actually sat down with my students, maybe projected my screen up onto a wall and then walked through, this is what the scholarship finder website looks like. This is what you can do. Fill out your general application, blah, 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 right? And then ask personal questions there. Whereas you're sitting in a room with 70 other people, you're not going to sit there and ask, why this individual specific scholarship, how does it affect me? How can I do better on this? It was not productive, and it was, again, wildly frustrating. And I felt bad for my students that went, that they had to sit through it and pretty much learn nothing. And I brought that up with my GA in our one-on-one meeting the next week. So we talked about it, but I don't know. Overall, I thought it could have been handled better. So, and the LCC, the sophomore LC, which I'm in, Amber, she thought the same thing. And she was the one who even brought it up in the honor staff meeting that following Friday. So it was wildly frustrating. I thought it could have been done better. It could have been organized better. My biggest thing is that I think that they could have organized their presentation in a way that wasn't so basic and then read straight off the slide. They provided no additional information about anything, and that was wildly frustrating. So I don't know. I haven't been a huge fan of the LC big events. They're great in theory. It's just hard when nobody, when it's just kind of, yeah, we're gonna slap this all together. And having an event for 70 people is hard. That's not the point of a learning community. Like, to me, the point of a learning community is to have a group of people who you can come together, in this sense, have weekly events that benefit you as a student and build you up as a student. So they haven't done that. It's hard to get personal connections when there's 70 plus people in a room. So I just have not been a fan of them. But I don't know. Logistically wise, some stuff that I worked on that week. Through that week, I worked with my boss Gene to get work on ordering Domino's pizza for the Emerging Researchers informational night that happened on February 24th. So I think it was like the 18th that I went into her office, and I talked to Jean. I explained what the event was, and she was all for it. And so then I got the papers from her. It's just a matter of filling out this paperwork, what you're doing, what the event is, what you're doing, and then handing that in, and then getting back from her the purchase order form for Domino's. And then I talked to Leah and Ginny, and we discussed what was being set up, what it was going to be like, what they needed from me. And again, it was pretty much just for me getting my students to show up, having a place to meet, and then bringing the pizza and paper plates and stuff like that. So that's what I set up for the Emerging Research event, and that came up on February 24th. I met with Amber to plan a broomball night afternoon with both of our learning communities, just to help build connections between the first year students and the second year students or upperclassmen. And we're planning on doing that March 21st. We're going to work with Campus Rec to see if they had any brooms or anything like that, so that way we could go play broomball down at one of the local ice rinks. And then the MAD celebration would have happened March 25th. So I was working on getting ready for that. One piece of thing that I'm going to reflect upon for this week was my lack of kind of clarity for my students. The last 3 weeks before spring break, I kind of dropped the ball, and I didn't communicate with my students very well. I was very communicative about very specific events, such as the honors site reviewers, but I was not very descriptive about our general plan for the next weeks before spring break. And looking back upon that, I wish I would have done that more, now knowing where I'm at sitting at home. And that's one of the big things that I'm trying to work on as a learning community coordinator, is finding out how to more effectively communicate with my students? How do I communicate with how do I share math information with 22 students, and get it across clearly? And that's been a struggle all year because students don't read their emails. They barely respond to my text messages, anything like that. So I'm working on it. I found that if I send out an email the week before, and then send out text messages a day or two in advance, and then really face-to-face contact is the best way to communicate with students. You will get the best response from everyone. So that's pretty much what happened the week of the 17th to the 21st. So yeah, good luck with the rest of your classes, everybody. And I will see you next week.